Just come back from a couple-day trip on the river, and it's time for a little maintenance on the Mokai. So I thought I'd make a short video showing you some of the maintenance that I perform on the Mokai. A couple of things I do every trip when I get back, which I'm sure most people would do when they get home, is pull the pump, make sure there's no debris in it, clean anything out that's in there. Then I end up putting 3 shots of grease in the Zerk fitting here, and this is an extension from the one that's installed by factory inside behind the motor. That makes it a lot easier to grease it. That's a Painless Tom aftermarket upgrade, and I'll put 3 shots of grease in there, and then I bail out any water. Usually after I've been mudlarking along the rivers, you can see there's some water and mud in it. I'll clean it up some. But you'll notice I've got it on the cart and I have a strap on it. Well, when you set it up on there, it sets great like that until you pull the motor to do some maintenance in there. Then the front end's going to be heavy. It's going to flip off of the cart if you pull the motor without a strap on it. So I go ahead and strap it down all the time, and that way I don't have to worry about shifting it around in storage or pulling the motor and having it fall off the cart. I've got a little workbench set up here, and you notice I can just set the motor on it and drain the oil right in through the gap there. Make it real easy to change oil. The oil is due annually or every 100 hours. I just hit 50 hours and about 500 miles. I changed it at 5 hours, and I thought I'd go ahead and do it at 50 just to see how it looks, and it never hurts to change it a little bit early, especially it's only a quart of oil. Okay, we'll go ahead and pull the motor cover off. Set that over out of the way. And I probably have some water down in there. Yeah, there's a little bit of water down in there. Another thing that's changed periodically, I think about every 100 hours, is the air cleaner, which this one's going to be pretty clean because it's run in a river environment, out on the river lakes. It's not going to be as dirty as if this motor was in a riding lawnmower, for example. So let's go ahead and do some of these quick disconnects and pull the motor and set it over on the table. And hook the fuel line. Quick disconnect for the tachometer, wiring harness, and the battery. And we need to get the tool to loosen it up and take it out of there. Okay, didn't have that a minute ago. Now I've got the tool. Okay, and if it's a little tight moving forwards, you can just squeeze on the belt, or pulling it backwards, you can squeeze on the belt to get it started, and then it should shift real easily. Just a little trick if it's kind of froze up in that spot. Okay, set the belt out of there. There's a little bit of water, but not bad. Let's see if you can see the gearbox, and there's the extension for the grease fitting. Instead of getting down in here and greasing it, I can grease it from the back. That just greases where the splines on the impeller shaft meet with the gearbox. I like to keep fresh grease in there. Changing the gearbox oil is really pretty easy. Instead of pulling the gearbox, I simply suck the oil out with a syringe. I had this fill plug installed by Painless Tom. It didn't come with it, and went out on Amazon and bought this 25 pack of catheter tip syringes, 60 milliliters or 60 cc's. That's 2 ounces, which is how much oil should be in there. And I also picked up some tubing. The 25 syringes was 20 bucks. 10 foot of the tubing is $8.50. And I cut it in about 8-inch pieces, and that way I can throw these away. Don't have to try to clean the oil up or have a dirty, oily mess from it leaking out over time. And then 60 cc's is 2 ounces. The trick is getting it in just the right spot in here so that you actually pull the oil out. Didn't get it all that time, so looks like I got about 42 that time, so let's try again. Now we're up to 55, so there's not much left in it. And I need to spray that 55 out so that I can have some room to suction some more out of there. Okay, let's see if we can't get any more. It might be all we are able to get. And we look like we picked up the rest of it. There's another 8 cc's, so that's about the best we're going to do. Okay, so now I can just throw this away, get some fresh oil and put in there, and we'll have the gear oil changed. I'm following Tom's advice, Painless Tom of ImprovingYourMokai.com, and using that mobile SHC 625 oil for the gearbox, using 2 ounces. So I've put 2 ounces in that little bottle. Go ahead and put that in there. Okay, gearbox oil is changed. On the engine, you've got 2 plugs here. One is your dipstick plug, so you can check your level, and the other one is what they consider the fuel plug. You can actually put oil in either one of them, and the fuel level is going to be up to about the threads. The drain bolts, there's 2 of them. Let me show you here. There's a drain bolt. Walk around here. There's one on that side. And this cart makes it nice because you've got a split right there in the middle. You can open it up and drain it out right into a container beneath the table. Okay, let's loosen up the drain bolt. I'm taking it slow because I don't want it blasting out of here and missing my container. Okay, just didn't want it spewing out like it will on your vehicle when you change the oil. Give you a look here. See, it works perfect, just drains right through the crack in the table. Whatever you set it on, you want to make sure it's good and sturdy to hold that motor. You don't want it falling. So we'll let that drain out, put the plug in, and then we'll add the oil back. And I use full synthetic 10W30. From the Kohler manual, 10W30 works from about 0 to whatever highest temperature you want to run it in. And I'm not going to be running the thing below 0, so 10W30 is what I use, and it's also stamped right there on your fuel plug, 10W30. There's the oil I'm using, Quaker State full synthetic 10W30. So pull the fuel plug out, and both of them have a dipstick on them, even though it's considered a fuel plug. They both do have the dipstick. And you have to pour this slow because there's not much of a slope going into there, so you don't want to rush it. Okay, there's 1 quart. where that brings it to on the dipstick here in a second. Let that drain in there a minute. Well, get the threads started right. Don't want to cross thread it. And it's pretty good. It's up to the top of the threads. I can barely see it down in the threads in the shaft there. So I'm just going to stick with one cord. I can always check it next time I pull the engine. That's all the maintenance I'm doing to the motor, since I'm not doing the air filter or spark plug or valve gaps or anything like that. That all comes later. I'm going to go ahead and put the motor back in. Get the belt back on. Bolted in. Let's hook up the battery, wiring harness, tachometer, put the fuel line back in, and put the throttle back up. Get it turned the right way to fit down over the ball there. Okay. Everything's back in. I always like to do a little test, start it up just to make sure everything's working. Okay, everything's in good order. That's it for the maintenance on a regular basis. Okay, let's see if there's any debris in here from the trip. One little piece of plastic and it's in there. And normally what I'll do is, you'll see there's some dirty grease on this shaft and mixed with water. I'll just wipe off what I can get off, and then I'll put it back in there and then run some new grease into the grease fitting. Now I think here in a little bit I'm going to replace that factory wear ring with the aluminum one that I bought from Painless Tom. About time to go ahead and do that. And then I'll put some grease in there. Okay, give it 3 shots of grease. I'm using Lucas's Red and Tacky. I need to get my rag to wipe off that little excess there. Might as well show you how I gas it up. I know some people have asked in the forums, what does everybody do? And I made me a little gauge here. And you can see I've got some notches on it. This side they're gallons, and this side they're half gallons. I use that to kind of get a rough idea of how much gas I'm going to need before I start putting any in. So let's drop it down in there, and you probably won't be able to see this on the camera, but it's right there at 2 gallons. So I can put almost 2 more gallons in. And the way I like to do it is I use this small 1 gallon tank, 1 gallon can. put it in there to start with. And if I need, I'll add probably 3/4 more. Okay, there's 1 gallon. Let's see where we're at on our gauge here. And just a hair under the 3-gallon mark, so I could probably put almost another gallon. I held it a little bit shy. I don't know if you could see that, but the line's about right here. That's a gallon. So I'm just not quite a gallon. So it should be able to take all of this. Started out trying to use a funnel to fill it up. I just never really liked that, so this seems to work the best for me. Okay, let's check the level one more time. And yeah, we're right there. So that's about 4 2/3 or 3 2/3 gallons. So I don't want to push it all the way to 4. Don't want to get it too close to the top. So what I found on most of my trips, I average probably about 15 miles on a trip, and it takes right at a gallon to fill it up. I'm having a problem with the threads getting lined up today. So usually if it's a gallon, it's real easy. Just dump the can in and I'm done. That's it for the maintenance. I'm not going to have you watch me clean the water out of the cockpit, but that's about all I do. It keeps her running good. Thanks for watching, folks.